I used to think building a class system meant making it impossible for people to move up. Rigid, locked, no exceptions. But then I realized that's not how real social systems work. The interesting part isn't that the barriers exist. It's how people navigate them. For years I would build these fantasy worlds where everyone just stayed in their lane. Peasants stayed peasants, nobles stayed nobles. But then I'd read stories where Littlefinger rises from nothing or Jaime Lannister falls from Golden Knight to outcast. The tension comes from people trying to move up or desperately trying not to fall. The best fantasy worlds are not the ones where nobody can move. They're the ones where movement is possible, but complicated. So I stopped asking how do I keep people locked in place and started asking what does it take to move? What is the cost? Here's the thing I was missing. In actual history, people moved between classes constantly. Merchants bought titles, soldiers earned knighthoods, talented craftsmen became indispensable to kings, and people fell too. Nobles lost their lands, families went bankrupt. Every great fantasy story is about people navigating the class system. So the question is not, can people move? The question is, what does it take to move? Because now you're not just building a hierarchy anymore, you're building a system with pressure points. Places where people can push, cracks they can exploit. And that is what makes your world feel alive. Let me break down the 5 main ways people actually move up in class. Path 1. Skill and usefulness. You are so good at something that people in power need you. For example, Davos Seaworth is a smuggler who saves Stannis during a siege and gets knighted for it. Tyrion becomes Hand of the King because he understands politics better than almost anyone. The key insight is that skill doesn't get you respect, but it gets you access. Davos gets into the room because Stannis needs him. Tyrion gets the position because Tywin needs him. But skill alone is not enough. You also need opportunity. You need someone to notice you. You need to be in the right place at the right time. That's why mentors and patrons show up in so many stories. They're the access point. Path number 2. Wealth. You get rich enough that you can buy your way up. Littlefinger in Game of Thrones rises from basically nothing to Lord Protector of the Vale through money, loans, and controlling the crown's finances. But here's the catch. Money gets you the title, but not the respect. The old nobility never stops reminding him he's new money. They mock his low birth, and he uses that. He lets them think he's beneath them while he outmaneuvers them. That's why new money versus old money is such a common tension. It is a fundamental part of how class systems work. Path 3. Marriage. Strategic marriages to climb the social ladder. Marjorie Tyrell marries Renly, then Joffrey, then Tommen. Each marriage designed to make her queen, but the cost is complicated. Sometimes it is at the cost of love. You marry for position, not affection. Sometimes it's identity. You leave your old life behind. Marriage isn't just about 2 people. It's about 2 families negotiating status. That's why arranged marriages were so common. That's why marrying beneath your station was such a scandal. Path 4. Service and loyalty. You earn it through blood. Bronn goes from sellsword to knight to lord because he keeps proving himself useful to the Lannisters. Brienne of Tarth earns respect through sheer competence and loyalty. But the cost is risk. You might die, you might fail, and even if you succeed, you're still the knight who used to be a commoner, or a woman in this case. And crucially, service-based advancement is conditional. You're only valuable as long as you're useful. Bronn is always one mistake away from losing everything, and that is why he's always looking for the next deal. Path 5. Knowledge and secrets. You know something valuable that makes you indispensable. Varys rises from slave to master of whisperers because he knows everything happening in the kingdom. In Dune, the Bene Gesserit maintain power for millennia through their monopoly on genetic knowledge. And here's what makes this path unique. Knowledge is the only path that doesn't require permission from someone above you. You can't give yourself a title, you can't knight yourself, you can't marry yourself into nobility, but you can learn things. You can discover secrets. You can make yourself indispensable through what you know. That's why people in power try so hard to control who has access to knowledge. Now, let's talk about the other direction, because people don't just move up, they fall. Fall number 1. Disgrace. You do something that destroys your reputation. Jaime Lannister kills the king he swore to protect. Suddenly, he's the Kingslayer, an oath breaker. He still has his title, his family, his wealth, but his honor is gone. You can lose your status without your title. So, in your world, what actions could cause disgrace? Breaking an oath, cowardice, betrayal. Fall number 2. Bankruptcy. You lose your wealth. The Lannisters are terrified of this. Their whole power is built on the perception that they're rich. A Lannister always pays his debts. If that perception breaks, they're done. Wealth isn't just about having money, it's about people believing you have money. The moment people think you're broke, you lose access, you lose influence. Fall number 3. Exile or imprisonment. You are physically removed from power. Napoleon goes from Emperor of France to prisoner on Elba. Tyrion goes from hand of the king to escaped criminal. Physical removal is often more devastating than social disgrace. Even if people still respect you, if you're not there, you can't exercise power. Fall number 4. The loss of patron. The person protecting you dies or abandons you. Davos loses everything when Stannis dies. Most people's power isn't actually theirs. It is borrowed from someone above them. The moment that person is gone, you are vulnerable. Fall number 5. Scandal or revelation. A secret comes out that destroys your position. Cersei's children are revealed to be bastards, delegitimizing the entire Baratheon line. Secrets are not just plot devices, they are structural vulnerabilities in the class system. Your position is only as secure as the secrets you are keeping. And here is what makes this all work. Every path, up or down, has a cost. When someone moves, they are not just changing their title, they are changing their identity. Littlefinger gets power, but he loses any chance of being loved by anyone. In fact, everybody hates the guy. Jaime loses his honor, and it haunts him. Tyrion loses his whole family, his home, his name. The cost is what makes the movement matter. If someone can just move up without sacrifice, it's not interesting at all. But when every step up costs you something you cannot get back, when every fall takes something irreplaceable, that's a story. The best fantasy worlds aren't the ones where nobody can move. They're the ones where movement is possible, but complicated. Where there are paths up and down, and every path has a cost. Once you see the pattern, you cannot unsee it. It is in every great fantasy story. So, go back to your world, look at your hierarchy and ask, what are the paths? What's the cost? And who's trying to climb or desperately trying not to fall? Because that's where your best stories are. If you want more content like this, feel free to subscribe and check out my other videos. Also, let me know in the comments, what is your favorite rise or fall story? See you next time.